Hello, stars, and welcome. Today, what we're going to be talking about is really what is restorative practices. And then, towards the end, I will show you one way to implement one restorative practice that will help you in your classes, either in person or online. So, stay tuned. What are restorative practices? Restorative practices are addressing and discussing the needs of the school community. This is super important because we cannot do restorative practices or implement restorative justice if we don't know the need of our school community. So, addressing that and finding that out is super important. Building healthy relationships between educators and students is something that's a restorative practice that I really like. Because if you don't have a good relationship with your students, then you don't get to really know them. Without knowing your students, you won't be able to educate them or get to know them as best as possible. So make sure that as you're going through the school year that you are building healthy relationships with your students. It will go a long way. Resolve conflicts and hold individuals and groups accountable. An example of this might be a group of girls were laughing at somebody when maybe they fell. You got to keep them accountable, maybe do a round circle and ask them to repair the harm to the individual and the group. Reduce, prevent, and improve harmful behavior. Each video that I make for teachers is going to build upon these strategies so that you can reduce, prevent, and improve harmful behavior. And lastly, repair harm and restore positive relationship. This is important. This doesn't only happen between teacher and student, but this can also happen between family and the school building where they restore the harm. Sometimes, the family might have a bad relationship with the school, but implementing practices so that we can restore the harm and be able to support our students better is what we are here to do. Make sure that you take a look at all the restorative practices videos so that you can better be able to implement these restorative practices so that everyone can have an overall better experience at school. Now that we know what restorative practices are, let's focus on one restorative practices that you can use either in the classroom or online to help your students. With many different types of meditation, you might get overwhelmed. But the three types of meditations that I would like to focus on for this video are mindfulness, focus, and guided meditations. So for the focus meditations, something that just to help the children just get back in line and just focus. That one's self-explanatory. The mindfulness ones, it's more words of affirmation, telling the kids to be more mindful and more present in these areas. You can help the kids with all types of different meditations. And the last one is a guided meditation. I really like guided meditations because, it's not a lot of prep work. There's not a lot of things that you can do. You can go on YouTube and find a lot of different guided meditations. They also have many guided meditations geared towards children. Something that I would like you to remember when you're giving a child the opportunity to meditate. You want to make sure there's not a lot of distractions. So making sure that the distractions are to a minimum. I know when we are dealing with the whole classroom, we can't eliminate all distractions, but try to eliminate as much distractions as possible. And also make it okay and normal for children to feel like they need to meditate or need time to themselves. Children need to know that it's a safe space for them to do things that they might not always do. We have to remember that children are not all the time seen meditating at their house or when they're in the neighborhood. So doing it might feel a little weird or a little out of the ordinary. So norming these things and telling kids that it's okay to take this time for yourself is something that is super important.